So D, how did your whole career being behind the camera get started?
That's a good question. So behind the camera, I would say my story started in 2009. I just happened to randomly find a camera on the ground.
So was it film?
No,
No.
no, it was
Okay,
digital.
okay. So it was digital. What's the difference between that one and then the first one that you actually purchased?
Now there's some like technicalities to that, but the easiest way to describe it is
In this episode, guys, you're going to learn all about how you can take your photography business from the beginning to being well established and the steps that you can take to get there through gleaning and learning from my guest today, Darius Evans of DME Imagery. Darius, thank you so much for coming on the show today, bro.
Thank you, Jason.
I appreciate your time,
Thank
bro.
you for having me, man.
Thank you for your time, bro, and thank you for your insight. And I know that this is going to be a jam-packed show.
Yeah, man.
So I appreciate you, bro.
Happy to be here to talk to the people.
So D, how did your whole career being behind the camera get started?
I think my career got its foundation in 2009 when I found a camera on the ground in Charleston, South Carolina. I was going to school there, and I just happened to, it was Halloween night. I was walking with a group. I went to a military college. We were trying to make our way back and before curfew, and I saw it out just kind of like over in the distance across the street and thought it was like a wallet or something. I was like, oh, snap. So went over there, examined it, and it was just like a little leather camera case, and inside of it was a Canon PowerShot. So it was in front of a restaurant. So my first thought, because I'm a good kid, is this belongs to somebody. So I'm going through the images. I couldn't really tell, an owner, by it, but it was in front of a restaurant. So I went in the restaurant, left my information, and was like, hey, if somebody comes looking for this, here's where they can find me. Nobody called. So after a couple weeks went by, I just assumed ownership and just started taking pictures. My friends were digging what I was doing. It was like kind of putting some cool stuff out there. And this was like the beginning of Facebook. So, I was sharing stuff on there and whatnot. And I just got more and more involved, more passionate about it because it really felt almost as if it were divine intervention. And I say that because, not only did I just happen to randomly find this camera, but from there, more things just started to happen where I was being afforded opportunities to to be given gear or to find gear at for free or at low cost. Education in terms of like old books and stuff that I could read from, because the school I went to, you couldn't work like off campus. You couldn't even leave campus really during the week unless you were an upperclassman. You could leave like Wednesday night, but you still gotta be back. You just kind of go out and come back. But so if you weren't like working on work study, then you kind of left to the mercy of your parents or whatever hustle you can kind of come up with on the weekend. But I wound up, because I got more involved and more interested, I wound up finding my first SLR camera on Craigslist for $50. Canon Elon 7. I still have it. And from there, man, I just took off, not necessarily in creating work, but just more so the study of photography itself, its history, people who had come before me and had done great things, stuff like that.
Got you.
And I just got more and more interested in it. Now I will say, like, my professional career, I'd say started.
If you don't mind me asking, really quick, for those that don't know, your first camera that you found, that PowerShot, was a DSLR.
I'd say it's more of a point and shoot.
Point and shoot?
Yeah.
So was it film?
No.
No.
No, it was digital.
Okay. So it was digital. What's the difference between that one and then the first one that you actually purchased?
So that camera that I found on the ground, I could put in my pocket. It was great for snapshots, great for travel, that sort of thing. But the The first one that I actually bought,
Yeah.
the Canon Elon 7, was a film SLR. So, I was having to find film and stuff like that.
Is it big?
Yeah, it's about not that big. I'd say roughly about the size of a Canon Rebel.
Okay, got you.
Like not the XS, but like like the TI things that used
T6i.
yeah, those.
I got you.
Yeah. So
no, that's cool. That's cool. And it was SLR, so that was film.
mm-hmm.
Like I never played with film, so
really
never, bro.
Okay.
But
it's fun. I don't think it. People say that it's dead or whatever, but I don't think it ever really left, to be honest.
Nah, it's special, bro. There's times when I see some of the stuff that you post online, like you will be on a trip or something like that, and I seen like some pictures you posted in the airport. It's just the grain, the texture is different. You know what I mean?
I dig it.
And I enjoy it, bro. I enjoy it. It's crazy how nowadays we use DSLRs and try to mimic what those film cameras do, you know?
Well, for good reason ish, right? You could argue that for good reasons people do that, because for one, film is expensive in the grand scheme of things, that's just one more thing that you got to add to the overall cost, where nowadays you can create a recipe, so to speak, and be able to mimic that look without that overhead, if you will.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's something about that tactile experience, loading the film, processing the film, if you're as cool as some of my friends, printing in the darkroom, that sort of thing, and that experience, I don't think can be replicated by the same sort of by a digital workflow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cause in a sense, like when you take pictures with film, like you don't know what you got until you hit that darkroom, right?
Right.
And that's got to be an experience, bro. Seeing that picture that you took for the first time, like, oh wow,
yeah. It feels good. When you hit it, it feels good. When you ruin it, soul crushing. And not even sometimes, but those are good experiences, right? Even though it may hurt.
Yeah.
And for as long as I've been shooting film and whatnot, I still make mistakes. Like over Christmas, I went to spend some time with my wife's grandmother and her family and stuff. I always take pictures there because it's a very old school experience, and I personally think those moments are important, especially to hold on to. So I prefer to capture them on film when I can. My crazy self shot twice on the same roll, like, so, and this is me, like, I took the film out, put it in a canister, thinking that I had grabbed
Switched
a different, that's what I get. That's what I get for not writing on it, but I didn't have a Sharpie at the time. So I just, I was just trying to move fast and messed around and did a roll of double exposures.
Golly, that's so. Just to give some preface on that, like when that happens, is it like two pictures merge into one, or it's just like completely?
Exactly. So it is. Now there's some like technicalities to that, but the easiest way to describe it is that a double exposure is when you effectively put two images on the same frame. Correct.
So let's say like your highlights were like really blown out on one and the next one was dark, like you're gonna get a crazy mix.
Yeah, you might. And sometimes that can work to your benefit because, and some artists do that as a stylistic choice where they can, some folks who might watch the show may be familiar with creating like a silhouette in one frame and then taking another frame that's like full of flowers or something. And now you've got like almost like a silhouette that's, full of, whatever it was that you took elsewhere, which can be very dynamic and interesting when you nail it the right way.
That's fire. That's almost like, it sounds like to me when you're editing and how you can change the composite mode to like screen or something like that.
Exactly.
And overlay on top of,
that's it. Yeah, that sort of vibe. That's exactly what creating double exposures can achieve.
Okay. Like this is, I'm curious person, man, and this is I like this because I'm learning, right?
Word.
Let's kind of take it somewhere else. What do you remember the first time that you actually got paid to use your camera, or is it that far back?
I don't know, man. It may have been. That's a good question. I'm not sure if I remember. It may have been when I was in college. I remember having a friend who was a musician. She was looking for some images, so it may have been that. But chances are it was probably a wedding.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, in your career as a photographer, what like niches have you dived into, and kind of, I guess what I want to ask is, in my career, I've shot a lot of different types of videos until I found what I really enjoy the most. You know what I
dig that,
mean?
yes.
Like, did you have the same experience in your photography career?
100%. I think that's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, much like choosing any career, I feel like you have to go through a selection process, if you will, and see what actually sticks, see what you get the most fulfillment out of, what makes you the happiest. And so in saying that, I've done weddings, I've done families, I've done babies, I've done EPKs, like electronic press kits for like artists,
Okay.
and stuff like that. Let me see what else. I've tried doing like model portfolios from children to adults, headshots, events, corporate events. You name it. If it's been something that's out there, I've probably shot it. Still life, nude. I hadn't really done boudoir.
Yeah.
Not because, not really for any specific reason, I think, but I just, that's something that I think requires a level of intimacy and trust. And while I've had a few people ask me about it, it's just something that just never really shook out or came to fruition. But I'm cool with that.
No, I got you, bro. I got you. So, out of all of those aspects of photography or niches of photography, where did you start, and where are you now?
So I believe I more than likely started just taking pictures of friends and family, and that eventually turned into, paid work, which was more than likely to start with like weddings and birthday parties, that sort of thing. Nowadays, I don't do weddings. Don't ask me. I'm gonna tell you no. I've had to do it.
Yeah.
They were not happy, but
why is that? Why is that?
Why I don't shoot weddings anymore?
Yeah.
I'm not against the work, right? Because it is a lot of work.
It is. It is.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of running around and whatnot. But for me personally, I felt like during that time period when I was doing it, I wasn't able to really make I didn't have a team. I felt like a team, at least one other person, two at best, is something that's needed for weddings.
Yes.
So many things going on, so many things to keep track of in your mind. And there are no do-overs.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You miss that moment, it's gone.
Yes.
So
you always got to be ready.
You got to be ready, right? And I'm not to say that I couldn't or that I wasn't, but at the rate that I was getting requests, I couldn't find reliable, folks to bring along with me. And in this game, word of mouth is king.
Facts.
And if your reputation doesn't hold up, or two, your reputation falters because of someone else's work, I didn't want to take that risk. You know what I mean?
Totally understand.
So
totally understand, bro. I've shot quite a few weddings, and I enjoy capturing the moment for the couple. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because you're capturing a priceless moment in time,
and that feels good.
It does, bro. It feels really good, especially when you get the response and they're like, "Yo, wow, this was amazing." You know, I feel like our job of what we do it is so beneficial, so fulfilling, especially when people are just amazed by the work that you create. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It really, it's a great job, man. It's a great job to capture moments for people. But not to steal from your thunder, but when it comes to weddings, what I don't like about it is the fact that anything can happen. You know what I mean?
True.
Let's say I'm trying to capture the reception area, but I've got the reception team just walking into my shots. You know what I mean? It's there's a lack of control.
Yeah, and especially in video world, right? I can wait for that sort of thing. I can wait on,
and you might be able to Photoshop them out too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The post time to do something like that in video, nope.
Crazy.
I shot one wedding on video. I will never do it again. Never do it again.
I hear that, bro. I hear that.
So shout out to you, dog, for
bro,
even
man,
having gone through that journey.
Man, I enjoy it. I ain't gonna lie, I do enjoy it, but I know what I enjoy settings like this more, right? I enjoy controlled lighting. You know, I enjoy that control. 100%. You know what I mean? Getting something I learned working with you before, bro. We got together one time on one shoot, and something that you told me that I'll never forget. And you said it's like you're painting with the light.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you said that to me, you probably don't even remember saying
I kind of remember saying that, because if there's a soundbite that I do say often, it's usually geared towards that. Like, lighting is such an integral part. I mean, it's the foundation of what we do.
If you
know
don't
what I'm
got
saying?
light, you don't got nothing, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unless it's Game of Thrones, and you you specifically looking for your people to not be able to see. But anyway, I digress. In fact, you should probably just cut that so they don't even get that little advertisement.
No,
you know,
no, you good, bro.
Pay us, HBO, pay us.
Yeah, right. That's what you had told me, bro. You said it's like painting with the light. We're on a photography shoot, and I was just trying to soak up some game. And bro, I'll never forget that. And that's real. And I really enjoy to control it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To have a desired outcome in your mind, and then to set up and then achieve it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a powerful thing, man. It's a powerful thing to craft your story, especially using the light and with the light.
Plus, I think the more you do it, like, it eventually, the light begins to kind of talk to you.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like, you start to, it's almost like the light stands like, this way a little bit. You know, come on, wrap that light around, wrap me around a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a dope feeling.
Especially when you start to study other people's work that you admire.
Totally.
Bro, it's like, and you, in your brain, you start to think, man, how did he create this? You know what I mean? Okay. And then in your mind, you try to picture where the lights were placed.
That's like my favorite game to play when I see great photography.
Yes,
I'm always like, how they like that?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. It's a very, man, what is the word? Like, man, I'm kind of lost my thought there. Like, analytical perspective to film and photography. When I'm watching certain videos or like a movie series or something, it's like, wow, that's a beautiful shot. I didn't like that, you know? And I think that comes with time in your career.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You start to really understand the importance of light. But I know you started in the, family, friends, and then you got into weddings a little bit. Where are you at now?
So now, I would say that the majority of my work is about 80% commercial based. Commercial meaning my work is geared towards businesses, small business, large business, headshots. If I do events, it's typically like corporate events, corporate parties, whether it's a celebration or an award ceremony. Perhaps it's a talk, of some sort, where people come in and, are receiving education from their higher ups or exchanging information with each other, that sort of thing. I also do like behind the scenes photography on some video productions, films, that sort of thing. And Personally, I try to, and this is definitely a goal for me this year, is to do more personal work. Personal in the sense of I want to create a larger body of work that is specific more to documenting our culture. You know, in terms of Black culture.
Yeah.
And I've got, all kinds of like photo essay ideas that I would love to expound upon this year, and really do more printing. You know what I'm saying? Like we do so much work for others, and it all typically lives in a digital platform.
Yes.
But I spoke earlier about having that tactile experience, and printing, for me, is the next step in that evolution. To be able to get it out of my brain, put it in my camera, get it out of my camera, put it on the computer, put it out of the computer, get it into a frame. Where it can not only be appreciated by me, but be appreciated by anybody else who might see it wherever it may live. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. I think that's big. I think that's a great accomplishment to be able to capture something, get it printed even on a large scale. You know what I mean? Like a big, nice piece framed up for somebody, and have that live with somebody. You know what I mean? So they see it all the time. I think that's definitely on my bucket list. I would add that to you saying that.
Don't sleep on the 4x6s either, because
Yeah.
the experience in giving someone like a 4x6 postcard of an image that you created, is also, I think, just equally as powerful, because that's something that's a little bit more travel friendly. That can become a bookmark for somebody. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
Live in a scrapbook. For people who do that sort of thing. And 4x6s, I think, have a special place in my heart, because while I grew up not necessarily being surrounded by photography per se, I think my first encounter with it was just through photographs. My parents had a drawer of 4x6s just in the hallway of the living room that detailed, parts of their life from, well before I was born and whatnot. So it was always, as an only child, it was always fun for me to try to create stories through their experiences that I saw via photo for things that they may not have been able to talk to me about, or, I don't know much. I know limited amounts of information about my grandparents, because they all passed at earlier ages, well before I was even a thought.
Gotcha.
So a lot of that personal family history and information, that some folks may have, I've always longed for that sort of experience. So creating that for myself is, what I'm trying to do these days. Obviously, I do it for my son, especially. I got a 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And, I'm constantly documenting his life, not so much in a Sally Mann sort of sense. Sally Mann's a photographer one of the woman photographer who gathered a lot of notoriety from a project that she did that was all based on her family. It was portraits of her family. Turned out really cool work. But I think capturing those sorts of moments amongst people who look like us, people in our culture, I think it's important because we live in such a digital age where, like I mentioned before, everything's on the phone. It doesn't get much life past that. These sorts of things are these physical memories. My son can pick up and look at. I can pick up and look at. He can pass them on, share them with his kids. Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they hold so much more weight, man.
Yeah.
It's like you're passing on family history. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Nah, that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
Man, what would you say was a turning point in your career where you feel like your career really elevated? Was there a certain project or just a certain time of your life where you felt like your transition from whatever work you were doing and you transitioned into full-time photographer or full-time camera work?
Totally.
Yeah. Like how did that take place for you, and what was it like?
So I tried going back to school to get another degree. I had worked in corporate America for from like 2012 to like 2014. Prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps, and I'm around my 2011, 2012, I had went overseas again, and when I came back, I had created a photo book of my journeys over there.
Yeah.
And then that was a pivotal moment because I was able to sell those photo books to the families of the Marines that I served with. Cool, it wasn't like I wasn't created epic imagery or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But it was still cool to
things that they
share
never got
those
to
things
see.
that they would have never seen. You know what I'm saying? Like even like the silly side of the military life as well as what it's like to be in country. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me.
No, you good, bro.
So I would say another pivotal moment came when I tried going back to school, and I decided that this wasn't the move, at least where I was going to school at. I don't feel like that was the best place for me, but the best thing that I got out of that was I met a gentleman who eventually became a mentor for me, and he was the first person who really was putting his foot on people's neck, in terms of giving strong critique and like not really pulling any punches, not coddling or anything like that, just pats on the back because they did the work. And when I heard him speak, I caught up with him afterwards and I was like, hey, love what you did there. I'd love to be able to have this sort of exchange with you more often. How can we do this? I'd love to work with you as an assistant, so on and so forth. And that conversation led to, basically a snowball's effect, which got me more opportunities to work with other photographers as a photo assistant. Through photo assisting, I feel like I learned more about, lighting, about how to work with the client, how to carry myself on set, that sort of thing. And those experiences have been invaluable to me because I've been able, much like leadership, I've been able to take the good bits and pieces of the things that I see and apply it to my own workflow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a pivotal moment. So around 2014 or so, and then I would say around 2016, another pivotal moment happened where through that same word of mouth workflow, somebody recommended me to work as a PA on a commercial. It was for Pute Homes. I still remember that.
What's a PA for those that don't know?
A PA on the film side of things typically refers to a production assistant.
Got you.
So they're kind of like the low man on the totem pole. They're the gopher. They go get the things that, people need, drinks, water, set up tents. They pop up, get lunch and stuff like that squared away. Whatever the production needs, they're usually like the one that kind of goes and runs those errands, if you will.
Yeah.
Through doing that for years, I got opportunities to not only work on more and bigger commercials, I also got opportunities to work on films, such as Through the Eyes of Tammy Faye, oh man, Their Eyes Were Watching, no, not Their Eyes Were Watching God. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. As well as a show from the Oprah Winfrey Network called Delilah. It only got one season, but that particular job came around the time of COVID, so around 2020. Not a lot of people were working. I was blessed to get an opportunity to start out working as a PA in the COVID department, which was, a new position that had sort of that was created due to the pandemic. But that led to opportunities for me to be able to expand into other departments. Thankfully, Warner Brothers had a program going on where they were looking to create more diversity within the departments.
Yeah.
And an opportunity came up for me to be able to start working as a grip. Um, and then from there, I started working in camera department on the same show.
Okay.
So I went from working as a grip to being able to work as a camera utility. And from there, after that show, I started working on other productions, more so in camera department, which was what I wanted at the time. And those moments, like I can't hype on it enough. Like the word of mouth has just, and of course, glory going to God, first and foremost, but the word of mouth has just been so pivotal in advancing me forward.
Yeah.
I just can't thank God enough just for me being me, just for, having the sense and the common sense enough to know you go on these sets, you make yourself indispensable, you'll always work. I'll tell that that's what another one of the things that I like to tell people. You make yourself indispensable on any set, you will always work, because they will always want to bring back that guy who went the extra mile, bring back that guy who had enough common sense to lead his 4 or 5 other peers, his or her 4 or 5 other peers, to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? The one who was creative enough to figure out a solution to a problem that didn't seem to have one in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all of those things, all of those sort of benchmarks, if you will, along my path have definitely gotten me to this point where, I'm able to share this with, you and, anybody else that's listening. So.
No, that's dope, brother. Everything that you just mentioned and said made me kind of think of in the scriptures, it talks about how in Proverbs, it talks about how when you live a certain way or you're a certain type of person, how God will enable you to find favor with others. You know what I mean? And that's what it just sounds like to me, bro. Like you found favor with
ain't
others.
fair, fam.
Yeah, for real. It's not, yo. It's not. But when you are a person of integrity and someone that puts forth the work, yo, the hand of the diligent maketh rich. That's what it says in Proverbs, right? And when you, like you said, present yourself that way on set or wherever it is that you go, opportunities are going to come your way, man. And God is going to show you that favor. You know what I mean? People will always remember that person that went the extra mile and want to keep that person around. So kudos to you, man, on everything that you've done and everything that you've accomplished and everything that you're going to accomplish.
Thank you.
My next question is, how has those experiences on set transferred into your photography life?
Good question. So I spoke earlier about, being able to take the good from the bad or whatnot, but I'll circle back to that and saying, by being on other people's sets, you have the ability to be in the mix, but also have like this fly on the wall perspective, where you can get like a overview of what all has happened, what all's been set up, and kind of commit these sorts of things to memory. These lighting setups, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at your kit here and I'm like, okay, I like what he's, I'm liking these little accents, and how you've sort of designed the lighting in here. And these will be the types of things that I can kind of take away, and apply to my own work when I see the need. Every situation that, we tend to go into, while it may be similar in a lot of regards, the spaces themselves are typically always tend to be different.
Yeah.
So I can take my past experiences and, apply them to, new situations and, kind of mix it up as need be.
No, that's real, bro. That's real experience, right? Through experience, you've been in a tight situation. You maybe have seen how a DP lit the scene.
Right.
And if you're in that situation, you already got that experience.
Exactly.
So that's real, bro. That's real. That almost speeds up your learning curve compared to others.
It does, man.
Yeah.
And it's scary sometimes because you start to take on work that feels like it's above you. You know what I mean? And I feel that way all the time. I don't know if that falls into like the whole thought of imposter syndrome or whatever, but I definitely experienced that a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my best to break through that, because I know I wouldn't be getting hired the way that I get hired if I didn't have the game. You know
Facts,
what I'm
bro.
saying?
Facts.
So I'm doing I'm doing everything I can now to just be more confident in self.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got to big me up sometimes.
Facts, bro. You do. And you know what? I think being a student of lighting as you are, being a student of photography as you are, and different photographers, like your expectations, I find expectations can be set higher, bro, because you know what good looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
sometimes we put a lot of pressure on
Oh,
ourselves
yes.
to hit the mark, you know?
Mhm.
And the crazy thing is what I find time and again is after we do the work for people, they're blown away.
Mhm.
But we could be the ones that are like, man, I could have done this better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
Like, I had an opportunity to light what I believe is supposed to be a commercial on the Super Bowl coming up this year.
Okay.
And I'm super excited to see that.
Yeah.
But going into it, I had no clue that it was going to be that until the shoot had wrapped.
Yeah.
It was like I got the and it was kind of like a last minute job, so I got the creative last minute, and I sort of had to, I had to think through, all these different sorts of things. We went and did the tech scout. Everything changed from the tech scout to the shoot day.
Yeah.
So being able to think on the fly, think under pressure, those sorts of things will rule the day, you know what I mean,
Facts,
on anybody's set.
Facts. You got to be adaptable.
You got to be.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest tie-in to, and one of my appreciations and loves about working on, especially on film sets, is that they're almost like the military to me. There's a hierarchy to them, to departments, you know what I mean? There's like there's just a structure to it. And I like that structure.
Yes.
Once I left the Marine Corps in 2014 and I started, getting back into, and I got into corporate America full time, I had a difficult time transitioning, not because I was having to do the work myself or whatnot, but it was just a different type of collaborative environment, if you will.
Yeah.
And this one I feel like suits me. There's something about the chaos of working in commercial photo and video that sits well with me because it's very reminiscent to my time in the Marine Corps. So it just works.
I feel you, bro. I feel you. It's an operation that's taking place. You know what I mean? There's an end mission, and it's like, okay, what can we do to achieve the goal?
Yeah.
I find like my brain works that way, and I worked well in those environments where, the pressure's on, you got to think fast and you got to deliver.
Right.
So while I was shooting video in my career, I was working in logistics, which is like working in warehousing, managing shipping, receiving departments, and inventory control departments. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. There's a lot of problems that arise in the day that you got to solve. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Or you got to think fast, move people around the different departments to hit your goals, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not the same as like the Marine Corps. It's not the same as being on a film set, but it's being in those situations where the pressure is on and you got to deliver that really defines you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It really defines you, and they make or break you, and they also build you.
Absolutely.
They really build you, bro.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like the Marines. I know that's a totally different
Yeah, no,
playground.
but still though, I mean, the concepts are there. You know
Facts.
what I'm saying? Like Marines wouldn't be Marines if those, and honestly, Black people wouldn't be. I don't know if we would be. Am I about to say this? I don't know if culturally we would be where we are now. I should say this for myself. I don't think I would be where I am now had I not had parents who stayed on me.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And they stayed on me. By them staying on me in that nature, I went through some hard stuff. I had to figure it out. I had to figure out how to stop getting whoopings. figure out the little things that it was going to take for me to accomplish the mission of not pleasing my parents per se, because that ain't necessarily what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't think, but just doing what I know to do is right. One of the things one of the things that I can always hear my mama echoing in my mind that she said to me was to keep your honor clean. And to me, that speaks to my integrity. You know what I'm saying? If I maintain a certain level of integrity all across the board, you know, then you always know what to expect of me because I'm going to bring that each and every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah, it's, bro, it is, I got the chills hearing you say that, bro, because it's like something that is so paramount in life, period. Like, people will remember. Like, when you have integrity and when you stand up, and even standing up for the right thing at times, it can be a hard thing in certain circles, you know, in certain environments.
Oof.
But when you do,
Yes.
and you stand on your ground, people see it. They might not like it, but they respect you. They have no choice but to respect you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And nah, man, I could definitely relate to all of that, brother. So I guess I would say my next question to you is, what is the future for Darius Evans and DME in Imagery?
Well, you know, I'm doing the best that I can to really, I'm trying to get out of my own way. I'm trying to just walk the path that has been laid out for me.
Yeah.
And do it in a way that fulfills me as an artist.
Yeah.
But also, you know, sustains me financially.
Facts.
You know, so this year, you know, I would say what's next for me is seeking more education by way of mentorship. So I'm looking to attach myself to someone or to a group that can help me to grow. I'm looking to not only attach myself to people to grow, but also help bring people up along with me. I want to be not an influencer in the modern sense, but I want to have a level of influence on this industry. I want to be able to have like my words really carry weight, not just in the city of Charlotte, but you know, throughout the photographic world. I'm working to dream bigger. You know what I'm saying? I don't personally feel like I've dreamt big enough. I'm happy to be where I am now. It's good. You know, I'm making, you know, decent money. I'm providing for my family. You know what I'm saying? But there's more to it. I know there's more to it than what I feel like I've gotten out of it so far. And I also feel like I got to a point where I was just working for someone else, kind of like what we was talking about before. And then I just stopped creating for myself, you know. I allowed myself to, you know, not to take advantage of the same 24 that we all got. You know what I mean?
I feel you, bro.
The same way that The Rock gets up, you know, and Mark Wahlberg, you know, get up early in the morning, four something in the morning, and they go out there, they hit the gym, they go get it, they meditate, they pray. You know, those are the sorts of things that I'm implementing in my life now. It's not that I haven't possessed the ability to, you know, because that Marine Corps background, I can do it.
Yeah.
It's just getting out of my own way. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what I'm leaning towards this year. Getting out of my own way, dreaming bigger, putting more work out into the world that I feel good about.
Yeah.
Not because somebody paid me to do it, but because it was something it was a story that I felt needed to be told. It was a perspective that I thought somebody else needed to see because I thought that it might be of benefit to them the same way it was of benefit to me.
Yeah, like embracing your artistry, like who you are as an artist.
Right. Really finding my voice. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, bro. I feel you. Do you do you struggle with the thoughts of how diving into that can affect your current like financial situation?
I do, but I feel like, you know, honestly, if you do the work that you're passionate about, it's gonna come. people are gonna hire you to do that thing that you enjoy doing.
Facts, bro.
You know what I'm saying? And that was something that stuck with me early in the game when I was learning about commercial photography. Was, you know, clients want to see your personal work on your website. They want to see not just the stuff that you created for somebody else, but they want to see, like, you know, what makes you tick. What sort of artistic things do you bring to the table? You know, what's your creative foundation, so they can not exploit, but, you know, bring that into, you know, will it kind of fit in line with whatever their missions are? You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
It's real. I was listening to somebody speak today. He was on stage and he was talking about how you don't have to dress all proper to fit into a certain like demographic. Like sometimes people appreciate you more if you just be yourself and express yourself just the way that you are.
Sure.
And the right people that are meant to work with you and work with you are going to find you. They're going to gravitate towards who you are. So embrace who you are, embrace your artistic vision and pursue it, because the right people are going to see it and just gravitate towards you and want to hire you for your vision, you know?
And along that same vein, I think it's important to note that that also equates to the way we charge. You know what I'm saying? Once we have to, I have found that I had to find more value in what I put out. And I had to, you know, we all had to figure out what that quantity is, but people who appreciate your work, you know, they will pay what you feel like you're valued at.
You know what I feel too, bro? I feel like we limit ourselves so much because when you look at companies and you look at a lot of businesses, like annually revenue-wise, they're bringing in like millions, hundreds of millions. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
they got it.
They got
it.
Yo. Bro, they got it. For real, they do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then what happens is, like, yo, bro, are these beliefs, these limiting beliefs, you'll limit yourself to the bottom of the barrel when these people got it.
Yeah.
And they know they got it.
Yeah.
And they'll look at your work and they know that you got it. But if you're not business savvy and you don't know how to price your work, you'll take the short end of the stick and they're dancing in the other room like, yo, I came up. You feel me?
So much money gets left on the table that we don't even realize.
Yo, bro, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the more that you realize that, the more you'll up your prices, because you can see the benefit that you bring to a business and what you can help a business make.
Right.
And instead of me being a service provider, I'm not a service provider. I'm a partner.
Right.
I'm a partner in elevating your business and taking you to where you want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And partnerships, I think, are big, bro. I like, my goal for this upcoming year is to work with less people. Like, I want to work with 3 clients at a set price point so I can focus my creativity on building them and building their brand, elevating their revenue, and also creating case studies to show others, hey, this is what I've been able to do for said company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And man, just to shift a mentality, you know what I mean? If you could if you can give advice to you, Darius, from 2014, or was it 2016 you got started?
I mean, it was kind of, I'd say it was more so like late 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like 2014 when I really got into the game.
What advice would you give to 2014 Darius now?
Stay hungry. Oh man, I used to be so hungry, bro.
Yeah.
And then I started doing good, and then I won't say that I got I got up from the table, but I definitely wasn't eating creatively as much.
Got you.
I used to stay up, real late. I used to stay up late enough, to practice, really hone in on my craft. And sometimes even if that meant like staying up all night, because I had the time, a lot of times things get in our way, things that we have to do each day, our own personal responsibilities and whatnot. So you have to, if you're going to be serious about it, you have to dedicate the time to learn the craft, study the crafts, commit yourself to the work, find your voice, and all of these things are not going to happen overnight. No. It's a long game.
It is, bro.
It's a long game, and just stay confident, or stay persistent, stay grounded in your faith.
Facts.
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 That'll get you
bro,
there.
There's something that you mentioned that I think it's something so important that for so long in my life I didn't take advantage of, or I didn't really know how to, and that is the mentorship piece that you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I want some advice that I would give to old me is, seek out that mentorship because it speeds up the process
Yes.
so quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It
Mm-hmm.
will get you from being a beginner to where you want to be so much faster because you're learning from someone else's mistakes. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
from someone else's wellspring of experience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very wise decision of what you said, bro, seeking out mentorship because like the only way you're going to level up is to find someone at that next level that can kind of show you how to get there. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And guarantee yourself that that person is doing the same things. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's levels to everything.
That's,
And
I would say that's the most valuable thing that I've invested in throughout my career is education.
likewise, bro.
100%. You know
Likewise.
what I'm saying? Because for one, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, once you know better, you got to do better.
Facts.
In order to do better, you got to continue to grow. You got to
Yes.
stay educated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whatever little tidbits you can pick up along the way, all of those things are important. But instead of necessarily, going out and buying XYZ equipment,
Yeah.
or whatnot, invest in, something that's going to get you the job where
Yes.
they will pay for X, Y, and Z
Facts.
equipment. You know what I'm saying?
That's real, bro.
And now it's just another tool in your toolkit because you already had the know-how, the knowledge
Yeah.
to be able to apply that across any photographic or video tool.
Yeah.
And, now you set.
That's a fact, bro.
Never stop learning.
Yo, I think to speak on something you mentioned earlier, our culture, I can really only speak to my history. Like my parents, they're from Jamaica, and my father was he was living with his siblings, but they had different parents. Like they had the same father, but they didn't have the same mother. So growing up, he was treated differently, like to the point that he wasn't even sent to school. Like he was like tending the area, the garden and stuff like that. Cause a lot of the way that my father's parents were financially set was through like produce and the land that they had. And that he didn't have much of an education, you know what I mean? And I feel like that is something that does kind of hold back certain people within my own past and culture is the lack of knowledge, yo. Yo, the lack of knowledge. And the more that you seek out knowledge and begin to learn,
Yes.
bro, the more you blossom
Absolutely.
and grow. Because like, my dad was a hustler. Like he had the grind in him.
Totally.
But if he just knew like certain things that other people are fortunate to know and be taught just because of the experience that the person that's teaching them has,
Sure.
it just gets you to where you want to be so much faster, man. It really does.
And I also want to, I guess, expound on, the education piece. That doesn't necessarily mean that you got to go study for 4 years, at
Facts.
somebody's school.
Nah,
You know
I'm
what I'm
not talking
saying?
about that either.
Yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
make that plain, because we live in a day where, you and I may have come up during a time period where our parents, may have had a mindset like in order to get a good job, you got to go get a degree, you got to go to school, you got to dress XYZ way. But now, I mean, the world is literally anybody's oyster with the advancements of technology, the internet, so on and so forth. I mean, all the information is out there. You just got to take advantage of it.
Yo, it's so true. It's so true. It's crazy that like, I spent so much time in corporate America trying to get to a certain like status or pay. And within a year of running my own business, I've met and surpassed that with the skills that I've learned along the years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Yo, bro, there is so much opportunity, man.
Yeah.
It's so much opportunity. And we sometimes like hold ourselves down with these thoughts and these beliefs. But once you step out there and you really show the world what you can do,
Yeah.
and bro, opportunities start coming, man. You just have to put yourself out there. You have to take a risk
That's right.
and step forward, you know?
Yeah.
You really do, man.
To speak to that same thing, man, in terms of opportunities, we were talking about mentorship earlier. I think another part of that, or the main part of that, is, we got to be willing to share our experiences, the knowledge that we know,
Yes.
and not gatekeep, dog.
Facts.
That was the biggest thing that I ran into when I first moved. I didn't really have like a huge photo background when I first moved here, but I knew that I wanted to pursue it more, right? So I started seeking out, I just via Google searches, folks who at the time were sort of at the top of their game within the city. Mind you, I only found like one black person, but even the majority of those folks who I did find just wouldn't come up of any information, because I guess I guess the general consensus of speaking to other photographers is that, if I teach you something, you're going to take food out of my pocket. You're going to take money out of my pocket. But that's not the case, because to what you just said, there's so much opportunity out here. We could all be eating.
Bro,
that
is one reason why I really wanted to start this podcast, is because I feel like when it comes to videographers, photographers, this like idea of competition, or man, I can't collaborate because they just want to figure out what my business is doing. Yo, it's not even that. Like, how many, I could go to so many businesses, like knock on their door today and check out their social media presence or ads, and they don't have anything.
Yeah.
There is so much opportunity out here for anyone to get in the game. And I wanted to create a space where people within our industry can talk about ideas, things that they've used to help their business, to help them get to the next level. And even if it's not in depth, but just give some insight.
Totally.
Right? Because it's needed. Like, there's a lot of people that are where I was, stuck in a 9-to-5 job that they hate, can't stand, but have so much talent, and they just don't know how to get out there and apply themselves. You know what I mean? And you can just give somebody a little bit of game that will spark a thought to make them take that step.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? And really achieve what they want to, bro. It's so much opportunity. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So much opportunity out here, man.
Absolutely.
But D, lastly, bro, before we wrap this up, I just want to give you the opportunity just to let people know where they can find you, how can they contact you to get your services, and where can they check out your work.
Absolutely. So you can see any of my work online at my website, dmeimagery.com. You can follow me on Instagram, also at dmeimagery. I don't really do a whole lot of social media, so don't expect me to be doing an exorbitant amount of posting. I'm old. I don't do that. So, but I'm just excited about what this year is going to bring. I've turned the TV off. I'm trying not to be influenced, and let my spirit take in so much of the negativity that's happening on the news and whatnot. Not to say that I'm not continuously empathetic to, people's pain and things that are occurring out in the world. Yeah. However, this is the year for me where I got to get off the pot. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
I'm almost 40. Yeah. I feel like I'm at a crux, where some decisions have to be made, and I really can't tiptoe around the game anymore. I got all this information in my mind about things that I know, things that I want to get out into the world, and there's nothing else to do but to do it. Whatever it takes, I'm getting it done this year. So expect to see, gallery show from me or something like that this year. Shout out to the Photo Outfitters here in Charlotte who I think are doing a pretty solid job of fostering community amongst the photo world. One of the things that they do is they allow folks to be able to sign up and just have a gallery show for like a couple weeks in their space. And
that's dope.
So that's on my list. So you'll see me out there. I'll be sure to invite you out there, big dog.
That'd be fire, bro.
Yeah, man.
If you ever need like somebody to capture some like video for you while you're doing your thing, you already know.
And if anybody ever has like any questions, regarding this industry, regarding equipment, if you want to learn how to become a photo assistant, which I think is an invaluable part of, on the photo side of things, I think it's an invaluable stepping stone to get to, anywhere in the photo community. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think the people need to know and understand that there's more than one way to be successful within this realm that doesn't involve necessarily being the operator behind the camera. You know what I'm saying? So many different positions could be had.
Yeah.
Assistant, digital tech, on the film side, loaders, first and second ACs, utilities, we need people to run audio. You know what I'm saying? You need audio. You need boom operators. Mixers, and all these things come with good pay. We just aren't. I know myself. I wasn't privy to that until I got into the game. So I really want to hold space and create opportunity as best as I can for anybody who's interested. Anybody who, may want to learn. I felt like once I found my 7 streams of income within the game, I felt pretty good to be able to let corporate America like really go. Because I knew I could be called upon to shoot, to assist, to digital tech, to grip, to gaff, to just be a general jack of all trades, if you will.
Man, bro, I think you've got so much experience and so much knowledge that I really can see you like hosting a class or something like that in 2025.
I want to, man.
Yeah.
I want to. I've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
I already got some people interested in, in terms of like letting me use their space and whatnot.
Yeah.
I just got to put it on paper so I can, be serious. Well, not be serious about it, but I don't want to go in there and be half stepping. You know what I'm saying? I want to know exactly what I want to put out there and share with people. But yeah, the platform is coming for sure.
That's fine, bro. That's fine. D, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, bro.
And I appreciate you, bro. Real talk. It was a blessing, bro.
Absolutely.
Blessing just to chop it up, man.
Yeah.
So
been way too long.
Yeah, for real, bro. It's been a while, but it was perfect timing.